everybody. This is Hawksex Listener, Muse by a Hungry Writer on Wattpad. Just gonna get into it. This is my second time recording because the first time, apparently the file was corrupted, so that's great. Working at Hero Mania magazine was a sweet gig. You got to meet heroes, new and old, and you were able to completely control what went into a shoot because you were working as both the photographer and the editor. Your early pictures of All Might rescuing people was what landed you the job, but you were still young. There were still many heroes out there that you had yet to photograph, and on the top of your list was Hawks. One of your coworkers had told you about him first. She said he was a prodigy, and he would make a great cover photo for the next issue. You were skeptical, but once she showed you a picture of what he looked like, you were convinced. Alright people, Hawks is going to be here in a few minutes. I want this shoot to look natural, almost like he just got out of bed. So I only want 3 people on lighting this time. Minimal makeup too, got that? He said with a raised eyebrow as he looked over at the makeup department people. They chuckled nervously, but nodded at your order. Yes ma'am, they chanted. Good, let's see where this takes us then, he said, and with that, you went to get your camera ready. When Hawks walked in, you knew it because several of your employees squealed with glee and practically ran up to meet him. You rolled your eyes, wondering why you hired such fools, but when his eyes met yours, you froze immediately. He was attractive, that was for sure, but he didn't seem too uppity about it. You definitely tell that about a person thanks to all the pro heroes that you had worked with. He also looked different in person. His sharp eyes were more intense, especially since he was staring right at you. He gave you a lopsided grin and winked, much to your embarrassment. His ruby red wings spread themselves out, and he floated a few feet off the ground. Your employees stared in awe at him, and you did the same. Hawks floated over the many desks in the studio and landed next to you. There was a good moment where you just stared at him, at a loss for words. He smiled at you and broke the silence. I'm guessing you must be the photographer Wyan. Nice to meet ya. He held out his hand to you, and you shook it. Sorry about that. That's unfair. His hand was gentle, but still firm enough to send a shock through you. Oh no, your mind was wandering already. You tried to regain some of your professional composure as much as you could. Nice to meet you too, Hawks. I hope this will be fun. We've never photographed you before, so this is new, he said. He nodded and bowed his head a bit. Well, thanks for having me. Hero Mania is such a cool magazine. I'm super stoked, he said, making you smile at him. He had such a good energy, you were getting super stoked about doing the shoot too. Should I get my clothes from the changing room? Yes, I hope you like them. I wanted the shoot to be simple, so it's just a white t-shirt and jeans, and we're going to probably ruffle up your hair just a bit more. And then there's a suit too, but don't worry, everything has cutouts for your wings, you explained to him, and he seemed to look a bit worried when you added the suit in the mix. Is the suit, like, really expensive? I just don't want to accidentally spill something on it and then it turns out it's Gucci or something, he jokingly said, but he did look a bit nervous about the whole thing. You pursed your lips and grinned up at him. Well, yeah, it's pretty pricey, but don't get too freaked out. We have a whole warehouse full of clothes anyway, so it's not too big of a deal if something happens. Okay, cool. I'll go change now. By the way, your name's really pretty. Thanks, I didn't choose it, so I'm glad it's good, you said, feeling so very awkward suddenly. Thankfully, he seemed to like your response and laughed quietly. Oh god, this is going to be a long day. Alright, Hawks, lean your head forward a bit and look up at the camera. Like this? He asked, flashing a goofy smile at the camera as he ran one hand through his fluffy blonde hair. He was sitting on a black leather bar stool, and he was just such a natural at this. Your shutter clicked, and you took at least 5 pictures of that moment. Yep, good job. Now, with the leather jacket, I was thinking... Want me to sling it over my shoulder? He asked, flipping the black leather jacket over his shoulder with grace. He didn't spread out his wings too much, so they didn't distract from the jacket. It was a great pose. You two were completely synchronized. Usually, you had to give really specific instructions to the heroes you photographed in the studio. It could get tiring after a while, but with Hawks, everything seemed to just work. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, he replied, taking a few pictures of him. Okay, now stop smiling. It's time for a serious one. How can I stop smiling when someone as cute as you is in front of me? Hawks replied, making you almost break the handle on your camera. Well, that came out of nowhere. Didn't think he'd be that bold. I don't know if now's the place for this, he said awkwardly. Your coworkers tried to stifle their giggles at the scene they were watching unfold, but Hawks didn't really seem to mind. Being a young hero, he was probably used to the attention of strangers. Don't worry about it. Sorry for surprising you, Ryan. I just thought we kind of had some chemistry, that's all, he explained, flashing a cheeky grin for the camera. He took the picture and sighed. Come on, Hawks. I have a reputation to uphold, he said quietly. Surely by now your entire face was a blushing mess, but you were still trying to be professional. Sorry, Ryan. Hey, wanna go on a date after this so I can sincerely apologize to you? What do you say? Your coworkers laughed at his words, but one glare from you was enough to silence them for good. Fine, that sounds fine, you replied, your voice soft. Have any place in mind? Of course. Alright then, Hawks. Give me a real smile now so we can go. That was Hawks' ex-listener Muse. Yeah, so there's some knuckle cracking. Sorry about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this works this time, fingers crossed. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.